What is going on, guys? Welcome to the show. Hope you're having a good day. Not only do we have a Yellowstone River update that you're gonna enjoy, we got top 5 baits that you're gonna want in your tackle box this year as you're fishing the river, guys. Stay tuned, strap in, buckle up. We got a fun one. Woo! That's some good water, boy. Let me tell you what. Alright, but like I said in the intro, guys, on today's episode, not only are we gonna go over the river update, which is looking super good right now. I mean, it's looking real nice right now. Just went under 15,000, or I think it's right at 15,000 right now. We're going to check those levels a little bit here later, but first we're going to talk about some baits. I've been getting a lot of questions on Instagram, social media, stuff like that. Some of you young bucks asking me, you know, what do I use on the river this time of year and in the summer months. As we transition into the fall period, it stays similar, but it changes just a little bit. You can use these baits pretty much all year round, but these are the top 5 that I definitely have tied on in my boat. First style we're going to talk about, probably my favorite style. It's going to be plastics. Now, I usually throw like a drop shot for the most part. I'm going to be throwing wacky rigs, any kind of hook that's going to be small. It's going to be a good drop shot hook for the most part. There's a lot of out there. The Gamakatsus, the tournament grade ones really hold up very nice, and they're very sharp. If you're on a budget, you can just get a pack of those Eagle Claws, like 100 of those just regular shanks. The offset shank with the 2 barbs on back really holds plastics on very nicely. But if you're looking for a real nice drop shot setup, I do like these VMC ones. The actual VMC drop shot setup, I don't like, with the little swivel on it. It just doesn't sit right with me for some odd reason. But the baits that we use on drop shot that I actually do love and prefer are gonna be like a impulse minnow, just a regular white. White in the river works amazing. You know, just a little impulse minnow, something that really has a little bit of flash, has a tail that's gonna buck pretty nicely. That's got a lot of great action in it. Also, you can use bigger paddle tails. This is a Shields paddle tail. Just something cheap, something flashy. White generally works pretty well in the river. Now you're going to want to change up your colors as the water clarity changes. Excuse me. As the water dirties up just a little bit, you're going to want to throw like a purple or an orange. It just shows up better in the water column. As those fish are looking up, the shadow of it just stands out so much brighter if you have a purple or even a black. Black works super good in the river when the water's muddy. White, that's always classic. We're going to talk about those baits here in a second. My other favorite way to throw a drop shot is like a tube. Now, on a tube, you can run it regular. You can run any of these baits on a drop shot, on a Carolina rig, on a Texas rig, or just on a regular jig head. We throw tubes on just regular jig heads. You can throw a tube head in there. This is a little Get Sick tube. We were using these to crush saugers this year. This is a great color. I think this is a pumpkin color, like a black sparkle pumpkin. I don't know, but it works great. The action on these tubes really is erratic. You know, it zigs, it zoogs, whatever that means. But it definitely gets the job done. I do love tubes. Even at like Fort Peck and stuff, I'm going to start throwing tubes just in general for everything. Because the action is just so impeccable. You really can't go wrong with a tube. Especially in Montana, because there's so many crawdads, crawfish. This is just a great style of bait. Now, another classic river bait is going to be the grub. Like I said, you can throw this grub. This is a Kalin's 5-inch grub. You can throw this on a drop shot, and on a drop shot you just nose hook everything. Otherwise, if you're fishing like a finesse worm or something like that, you can have the option of wacky rigging it. It's a much more subtle finesse fall. It's got the little arms as they fall down. Works great. You can do creature baits, lizards, beaver tails, anything really. Just nose hook it and just throw it, and you're gonna find success with the majority of those style of baits. This is just a regular Cabela's, I think a black copper with the serrated tail. Just gives it a little more action in the water, and it's a big tail. So I do like a larger profile grub if I'm throwing that. I generally don't throw anything smaller than like a 3-inch. I think this is a 2.5-inch impulse minnow. When you're downsizing in weight on your jig head or on your drop shot, you're going to want to downsize a little bit on your baits, just because you have the option to. If you're throwing a huge weight and a small bait, I don't know, it just doesn't really sit well with me. If you're going to throw a bait, might as well throw a big one. Big baits equal big bites. Let me tell you what now. So yeah, guys, we can throw drop shots on pretty much any style of plastic. You can also run these on any jig head that you want, on a kid's tackle jig. These work great on a kid's tackle, like a paddle tail or a walleye assassin. I tell you what, these things are insane, even a grub. So yeah, that's that style of bait. It sits the bottom, or if a drop shot, it's sitting up a little bit. I like to run my leaders 12 to 18 inches, depending on snags, stuff like that, how deep the water is, how far off the bottom you want that bait. So that's that first style, guys. I really always have that tied on my boat, especially when I'm fishing the river. In lakes, it's a little bit different story, but on the river, always have a drop shot tied on. Always have a drop shot tied on. Number 2 style of baits. This probably isn't my favorite. It's probably my 5th favorite, but I do always have one of these tied on. Now, these are going to be either a spoon type bait. That's a blue and silver one. I love blue, purples on the river. Blue, silver, you can't go wrong with that combination. Or a Meps, or a blue fox. You know, any spinner of that kind works really well. These are super easy baits to fish, especially if you're new to fishing. You just tie it on. Please throw a swivel on it, at least. Even if you're fishing a spoon, throw a swivel on, because these things are constantly in the water spinning. And they're going to wrap your line up, especially if you have like a mono, even a braid. They're gonna twist the hell out of your line if you don't have a barrel swivel or just a regular standard swivel. So really, the colors that I like in these ones are, can't go wrong with blue silver. That's always a good color in the river. Blue purple, black and yellow. It's often a good color. Or like a really bright chartreuse, especially when the water dirties up a little bit. Super easy baits to fish. I generally always have one tied on, especially when I'm searching for fish. Pull up to a hole real quick, you're not sure what the water depth is or whatever. Throw a spinner out there, see if you can't hook up on something. Really quick, really easy search bait. Super versatile, especially in the river situation. Now we're going to step up to the number 3 scenario. Number 3, I thought I had 5. I mean, I don't know. There's just so many styles of baits you can do with jigs and stuff. I might have skipped over that. I'm just freestyling this one, guys. So it looks like we only have 4. Top four style of baits. We're going to cover a lot of baits, so don't worry about it. The number 3 style of bait, I guess you could call it. Sorry, guys, I'm a little bit confused. Is a jerk bait of any kind, really. I really enjoy the Rapala, really the entire Rapala lineup, simply for the fact that they work so well and they always run true. I have a problem with some cheap crankbaits running like absolute garbage, and they just don't catch the fish because when they're down there, they're just not acting right. This is a Cabela's. This is a Rapala ripstop, and I like this one. Purple, once again, a great color all around the state. This will float. This is a floating jerkbait. It's got some ball bearings in it, just little ones for that noise. So it definitely has some sound to it. Now, oh gosh, I'm gonna change my volume on that. That is bad. Oh, sorry guys, I had to change the mic level. It was just bouncing off the limiter. Like I was saying, the jerk baits, classic baits to go to, especially if you're fishing a river. These have some pretty big bites that come along with them. They're generally a triggering bite, so you're gonna find some active fish with these baits. I also like the Rapala Shadow Wrap. Now this is a very similar type jerk bait. It's got a little bit different action to it. It still has a little bit wider wobble than the ripstop. This is more of a tighter jerk wrap, a tighter jerk bait where it doesn't have such a large wobble to it. This one is going to be a little bit bigger. It's going to have a little bit larger wobble. So it's a different presentation in general, but very similar. These baits work well. They're a little expensive, but they do work very well. As you can tell, the eyes, they just glow so beautifully. Just a gorgeous bait. Like I said, guys, bigger baits definitely attract a little bit bigger fish. The majority of the time, you're gonna catch some itty bitties on this, I'm sure, just because they're hungry, guys. That's how she works. But yeah, that is my third favorite bait that I'm generally always gonna have tied on the river. So 1, 2, 3. Now the fourth style of bait, it's gonna be another crankbait, guys. These are the DT6s. I really enjoy the DT6s. These style of baits absolutely crush in the river. They have a much different wobble than, like, let's say, a longer style bait. These have a very large wobble. These are just going to wobble so much harder, but their wobble is a little bit different than, let's say, a longer, skinnier bait. This is going to have a tighter wobble, like I was saying. This is going to have a much fatter wobble. It's going to cruise side to side a little bit. And the back end is just going to kick. Pop, 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 pop. So a little bit different action. These get deeper. You can definitely target a deeper bite with these. I throw the DT6s and DT10s. Like on the smallmouth, caught this guy throwing the DT10 clack and crank. Right there. I will throw these on the river, but I mean, they're like $8 a crank and they're discontinued. So I don't like losing them unless I'm fishing, like a lake type situation or if the water's deep enough. So the colors that I generally enjoy throwing with the DT6s, in the Yellowstone at least, are crawfish patterns. As you can tell, these are both crawfish patterns, a little bit brighter, a little bit more natural. There's just a huge population of crawdads in the Missouri, or not the Missouri River, but the Yellowstone River system and really all around Montana. So really a good bait. Also, the black and silver minnow profile works great too. I've caught some saugers on that. I've caught saugers on really everything but the jerk baits. These are more bass minnow, or bass baits really. These catch a lot of bass in the river. These will catch bass too, but like I said, if you're trying to get it into a deeper hole, that 9-10 foot hole, this definitely gives you a little more depth as you're coming through. A great search bait. You can fish these fast, much faster than like a wacky rig or even a jerk bait. So definitely very versatile lure. A little bit expensive, but you know what? It is what it is. So definitely the least expensive setup is the wacky rig. Not the wacky, the drop shot. So or any plastic for that fact. As long as your jig isn't a $10 kids jig, you're not going to be blowing through a whole bunch of money on the river tying new jigs on as you snap them off. But these are pretty hard to snap off. They hurt a little bit for sure. So, but I always have one of these two tied on along with a drop shot and a spinner. So those are kind of my go-tos for the river, guys. And let's get right on into the river update. So I don't have it written down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check the USGS site on Google. Just go to Google, type in Yellowstone River Flowchart, Billings, Montana, or wherever you're at in the river, and there should be a reading at your local spot. Here in Billings, looks like water temp is just at that 67.5 range, and CFS is right at 15,000. I mean, right at 15,000, guys. River's looking great. Like I said, this is about the time I start hopping on it. It's cleared up quite a bit. Water clarity is gorgeous, especially up by Laurel. It's going to be super clear. Not super clear, but much, much clearer. And as the water comes down, it's just going to get more enjoyable, guys. So, hope you guys enjoyed this. Get out there, tie something on, go fish, give her a go. Fishing is going to be picking up here pretty soon, if it's not already banging. So, hopefully I'll be out there tomorrow, guys. I know we're tired of these stupid sit-down videos. Just kidding. But we're going to have some more fishing action for you here in the very near future, guys. not only do we got the walleye series coming up, but we're going to have some jet boat stuff. We're going to have river stuff. I'm going to get on there hard, try and dial up some fish for you guys and myself. I'm ready to catch a fish. I haven't caught really a big fish in a minute. So looking to get a big smallie, maybe some catfish, who knows. Let me know what you guys want to see in the comments below. Hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Let me know what you guys want to see. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you in the next one.